Hello, I'm Ian Hodges, Careers and Employability Manager at Career Zone at the University of Exeter, and I'm going to give you a short presentation on careers education, information and guidance. In particular, I'm going to be talking about the University of Exeter's approach to careers guidance and the wider UK higher education sector approach to careers education, information and guidance. So to begin with, just an overview of how universities provide careers support to help their students in the UK. All universities have a careers service, but careers services may be given different names in different institutions. So for example, in Exeter we call our careers service Career Zone. In other institutions they might be called Careers and Employment Service or Careers Advisory Service. But each service is funded by their university and is an integral part of the university organisation. The size of the careers service is dependent on the level of funding, and the level of funding is often dependent on the relative importance that the university places on its careers service. We're very fortunate in Exeter in that the main functions of careers services in the UK are to provide careers education, information and guidance, and employer liaison services, so services which enable students to apply to and meet with employers of graduates. But for the purposes of this slideshow, I'll be mainly talking about careers education, information and some of the terms I'll be using in the presentation include employability, so just an explanation of what some of these terms are. So employability is the skills, personal qualities and experiences and knowledge that would make students employable. That is, it would give them the skills or the qualities that employers are looking for. So the things that employers want, that's what we would see as employability. A career is a pathway through life that might include periods of work, study or volunteering, possibly even time away from work. It isn't simply the first job that a student or a graduate would go into. It's much more. Careers education is the support that the university might give to help students, including skills training, which might be provided formally through the curriculum or possibly outside of the curriculum. At Exeter, our skills training includes support for producing good CV, but also more general skills like good project management and time management. Careers guidance is the one-to-one support that we provide for students, guiding them through their career journey, and I'm going to cover this in a little bit more detail shortly. And then the final term that we'll be using in the presentation is careers information, and I'll just provide a little bit. So these are the things which components of careers information. So it's occupational information. So for example, we would provide students with information about different occupations, including nature conservation officer. Careers information would also include information about employers, and in this case I've given the example of the National Trust, which is a major charity in the UK which employs nature conservation officers. And finally, we'd have information about further study, so courses that students might be able to do after graduation, possibly at master's level, and the example I've given there is for conservation ecology master's. If you're interested in finding out more about careers in nature conservation, and many of our students are, then the best place to start would be the Prospects website, and the web address is given there. On the Prospects website, students can find information like this job profile, which gives in details of what a nature conservation officer would do. So details of the qualifications required, for example, the work experience that might be required, and related jobs and courses. Very useful information, and the Prospects website has information on every occupation that students might possibly be. Another part of the Prospects website gives students information about working in different countries. So this particular screenshot is taken from prospects and shows information that's available to work in Portugal, including details of where to find job vacancies and visa and immigration requirements. Moving on, I'd like to spend a little bit of time just talking about a career planning model called DOTS, which we use to underpin the support that we give to students whilst they're here at the university. And you'll see from the screen that the DOTS model has 4 components: self, opportunities, decisions and transition. Now what we would like ideally for students to do is to work through this model in sequence, starting with self and then ending at transitions. So in an ideal world, we would like students to spend a bit of time thinking about themselves, particularly their strengths, what motivates them, what's important to them about their future career, where their interests lie. And if they go through that process at the beginning, then it makes the process of finding the right opportunities much easier, because they're able to match what it is that they want with the opportunities that are available. So the next step would be opportunities, and we can provide them with information about different occupations, different university programs, who the employers might be, what courses are available in different places and so on. When students have made some decisions about the opportunities that interest them, we can help them with making some decisions, so choosing between those different opportunities, and we do that principally through our one-to-one careers guidance appointments. Then the final component of the DOTS model is transition, and transition is the support that we give to enable students to make a transition from the university to whatever they're going to do next. So careers consultants provide a lot of support for students based around the DOTS model. So we can deliver workshops, for example, which would help with transition on finding the right jobs or developing your CV. We can also help students by introducing them to the nature of career searching and finding different occupations by using websites and other materials. Careers consultants will conduct their own career research as well into different occupations, which they can then pass on to students, and it will help them when they're giving advice to students. Similarly, careers consultants will visit employers to find out what employers are looking for when they're recruiting, and this helps careers consultants to advise students in one-to-one appointments. Occasionally, careers consultants will write articles which appear on websites or in the press, and careers consultants can also deliver and provide feedback on psychometric tests, particularly tests of ability and personality profiling. So in the UK, careers guidance is provided by careers consultants or careers advisors. The 2 terms are interchangeable, and they're provided within the careers services within universities. All careers consultants are qualified to degree level, and they have also a postgraduate qualification in careers guidance, which gives them the professional skills to do the job that they're employed to do. So as I've said, there are careers advisors or careers consultants in each university, and all of them are members of the Association of Graduate Careers Advisory Services, or AGCAS. Now AGCAS is really helpful because it provides professional training and support for all members, and also is responsible for gathering and publishing careers information which students use, particularly the information that's provided on the Prospects website. So the careers in nature conservation, the nature conservation. In University of Exeter, the careers guidance is provided by a team of 13 careers consultants, and we have a total of 21,273 students. So our service is very well resourced for the number of students that we have. And careers consultants will support any of our students regardless of discipline and regardless of whether they're doing an undergraduate program or a postgraduate program. And we also provide support for graduates of the university for 3 years after they've completed their program. So the careers guidance that we offer is usually delivered in one-to-one appointments. It's structured, and I'll come on to that in a little bit, more detail shortly. So there's a particular process that we will work through in a guidance interview. It's student-centred, so we respond to the queries that are raised by the student. We talk to the student about what they want to talk about in these appointments. We can also deliver careers guidance by email and online through Skype, and also by telephone. And we can provide help on any careers related topic, but what we don't do is provide support for students with personal queries which are probably better dealt with by counsellors. So we draw the line at helping students with careers related. In a careers guidance interview, these are the typical queries that we would receive. Most students, when they join the university in the UK, don't know what they want to do when they graduate, so very often students will come to a careers guidance appointment and they will say that they don't know what they want to do, and they will seek help from the careers consultant, and we can help them with that. Sometimes they know exactly what it is they want to do, and they're now deciding and choosing between different occupations. We can help them with that too. Sometimes they want to know what they can do with their biosciences degree or history degree, and we have the information which will help them to discover that. If they do have a particular career in mind, for example nature conservation, we can provide them with information and support and tactics to get into that line of work, including advice on which qualification might be best for the particular career that they want to enter. And then very occasionally we have sometimes students want help with CV, either just improving the look or the format or the content of their CV, or help with trying to understand what looks good on a CV and what type of work experience, for example, they should embark on in order to improve their CV. Some students are seeking help with interviews. Some students have particular health problems which relate to their career choice, and for example they might want to know whether they should declare their health problem on application forms, and we can help them with that as well. And then many students don't have good work experience, so we can help them to find work experience. As I mentioned, we can provide guidance by email as well as in person. And this slide demonstrates what type of query that we might have from a student. So this is a genuine inquiry from a student who was studying abroad and sent an email. So they wanted to know about how to get into something called the JET program, which is teaching English in Japan. And they also want to know whether they should be doing a TEFL course or a teaching English as a foreign language course in the summer before they apply, and whether that would improve their chances of getting a place on the program. And this is a typical query that I mentioned before, that careers consultants are all professionally qualified, and part of the professional qualification that careers consultants take is understanding the academic theories behind career choice. And on the screen and the next screen there are details of some of the main theories that underpin the work that we do on a one-to-one basis. So career choice might be influenced by an individual's personality or their skills that they have, or in the case of Krumboldt's theory, there's a certain amount of chance and luck involved in career choice, and that's taken into account in that particular theory. Now these summaries are taken from a website from New Zealand, and the web address is given at the bottom of the slide if you're interested in knowing more about the academic theories behind career choice. So how do we provide careers guidance? As I mentioned before, we provide one-to-one appointments. These are booked by telephone or in person with our reception staff in Career Zone. Each of the appointments is 30 minutes long, and the careers consultants will know in advance what the student wishes to talk about. Well, now we know that because when the student books, the person taking the booking will record the details of what it is they want to discuss, and that will be included in a record of the booking. We also make a record of what we've discussed in the interview. This is called a journal note, and After each appointment, we would write a few lines to describe what it is that we've discussed with the student. That's shared with the student, and it also helps the next careers advisor that might see that student. They can then find out what's been discussed in the previous appointment, and this could be confidential if required. So if the student doesn't want... This is a screenshot taken from our online booking system, and the name of the student has been blanked out for confidentiality purposes, but you can see that this particular student is a PhD student studying engineering. The general topic they want to discuss is career research, but in particular they want to talk about a career in water engineering. Now this is quite helpful for a careers consultant because they then know a little bit about what the student is interested in, and they can do the appropriate research before the appointment starts. So this is the information that we would have. In the guidance interview, we try to develop a situation which is comfortable for the student, so it's informal and friendly and welcoming, but at the same time is very professional. But at all times we try to be very positive with the students, even when they're presenting with what might be seen as quite a negative problem that they're having to deal with. So we try to leave, or have the students leave the appointment feeling very upbeat and positive about the experience and feel that they've gained something useful from the interaction with the careers consultant. Generally speaking, our consultations are non-directive. That is, we don't tell students what to do. We provide them with the tools and the information to make their own decisions, but we don't give them instructions on what they should do. We don't tell them which career they should pick, for example. There are very occasionally times when we would be slightly more directional, and we would give students recommendations, but generally speaking our appointments are non-directive. But they are... I mentioned that the careers guidance appointments are structured, so at the beginning of the interview we always contract with the student. Now that means that we find out exactly what they want to discuss, clarify their purpose and expectations of the appointment, and we also can tell them whether we're able to deal with that query and whether we have time to deal with that query, or if we can't deal with that query, where they can get some further help. But we give the students an idea of what support we're going to be able to give them in that interview in the time available. So we would, through the interview, we would clarify the points that we're making, check that the students understand what we're talking about, and along the way we're presenting different possibilities, tactics and information, and at the same time checking that they understand what it is that we're suggesting that they might want to do. Now one of the things that we do quite a lot of in appointments is challenge students and challenge their career thinking. So although we want to be positive, we do take a step back on occasions and give a reality check for students. So do their qualifications match the type of work that they want to do? Are they able to do the kind of work that they want to do in the locations that they want to work in, and so on. So we can introduce a note of realism into the proceedings by challenging students and their career thinking. Then at the end of the interview we would close the interview, we would check that the students are happy with what we've discussed, check their understanding. So that's the end of the presentation. I hope you found that helpful. If you would like further information on the services that are provided to students at the University of Exeter, I've included the web address here. And if you're interested in the activities of the Association of Graduate Careers Advisory Services, I've also added their web address as well. Now for both those web addresses, some of the information on those websites is password protected, so there's a limited amount of information that you could see, but I think it would give you an idea of some of the things that I've been talking about in the presentation.